Hello. Whoops. Alright, let me fix the overlay real quick. I done goofed. This is part 3. And this is TvT. And this is going to be a far simpler build than the other two. This is just an easy peasy, one base TvT. You do this, you win all your games. You know, it's easy. Super easy. No matter what you play against, you're going to do the same exact thing with this build. Really strong build. This build has been around, it feels like, since the beginning of time. Like 2 years ago, people have been doing this build. Still stupid strong. So, hope you enjoy. Oops, there we go. Man, I have technical issues. Okay. Which one do I want to show you first? Alright, this build, you may have seen this build, you may have tried this build before, people may have done it to you. Here's how to do it. This is the Marine Hellion Medevac elevator timing. Okay? Now, it's gas first, so just like any other gas first, just like I always say, rally that guy to take the gas. And this build is so stupid, Sean. Which one am I? Okay, I'm this guy. I'm Sterling. I was like, Anwis, that doesn't look like my name. Okay. I accidentally load my SCVs. I don't know how many games I've showed today of me accidentally loading my SCVs, but the fact that you can accidentally load your SCVs, do this build, and then still win, should just show how strong it is. So, 11 guy rally to gas, 13 barracks. Okay. As soon as the barracks is done, orbital command and factory. Okay, so we put the factory down, orbital command, one marine. Now, when your factory starts, when your factory is like partway done, you don't need to do it right when it starts, is going to be when you send an SCV out. On 2-player maps, you just send it to your opponent's half of the map. On 4-player maps, you send it to the middle of the map. You're going to proxy the starport. Your barracks is going to make 1 marine, and then it's going to make a reactor, and that's the only thing it's going to do. After you morph your orbital, you're done making SCVs the rest of the game. You don't make one single more SCV. So when your orbital makes on 16 supply, you're done. That's how many SCVs you're going to have the rest of the game. Okay? You do a depot on 17. That's the build order. So the build order is barracks. When the barracks finishes, make orbital, put down the factory. When you put down the factory, send out a guy to proxy. Barracks makes 1 marine, and then it makes a reactor. And other than that, you're just going to make marines 2 at a time. You're going to make hellions, you're going to make units from your starport, and you're going to make supply depots. And that's it. And then you're just going to win the game. I send this proxy guy out super late, but that's okay this game. Starport should have been going down now, but it's whatever. The guy that builds the factory on a 4-player map, it can go around to scout. You can see he sent around to scout. You just need to know where your opponent is. Other than that, marines 2 at a time, hellion. Okay. Your first hellion. You can poke with your first hellion, but you don't have to. It can just be preference. Whatever you do, however you decide to do it, the key thing is don't lose this hellion. You don't want to lose any units before your 2 medevacs are out, because it's mostly just a waste of units. So you can poke and you can pressure a little bit with the units you have, but always with the mindset, just like in the TvZ one, you're just poking and prodding here. You're not trying to get damage in, and you want to prioritize not losing it, because when your actual timing hits, you want the full strength of the timing to be hitting. Okay? And this is so simple to do. The whole game, you're going to be making marines 2 at a time. The whole game out of here, you're going to be making hellions. The starport is the only tricky thing. First, the starport makes 2 medevacs, then the starport can makes 1 Viking, and then depending on what you want, you either make Vikings or medevacs. I usually do 2 medevacs and then Vikings for the rest of the game, and then you kill them by then. So when I find out where he is, I'll send the hellion out to poke. And just constant supply depots with this guy. You don't want to get supply blocked. Call down mules whenever necessary. So just poking with this guy. Okay, and now 5:30ish is when you send all your units over. You rally all your units over, okay? And if they have a bunker on the low ground, everything's going to get dropped in the main. If they don't have a bunker at the low ground, you're just going to poke at the front a bit. Medevac's making. The Hellion's over, so okay, he did have a bunker, so we're going to just sit over here, and we're going to drop everything in the main. And the way you do that without getting your dropship picked off is you set all your Hellions here, and you drop your Marines in the main first. So if he comes to try to fight your Marines while they're dropping, the Hellions can shoot at him. Then you just pick up all the Hellions and drop them in too, and then as soon as your second medevac gets there, you just A-move him, basically. Well, you don't A-move, you want to micro to the best of your ability. You want to not let him get off good Hellion shots, and you want to get off your own really good Hellion shots. So every Marine will go in, drop him, because he knows it's coming, so he's going to stand here to try to deny it. And when I see that, that means all the Hellions just sit there. So now he can't deny it. And we're just rallying everything. Everything's getting rallied. All the here. Again, like I said, you don't attack until you have 2 medevacs. If he comes after you, that's fine, but I'm not going to chase after him until both my medevacs are here. And you can see this medevac was speed boosted over, and like the second this medevac gets here, right? The medevac's here, it's time. And you see we pull back Hellions, we spread Marines so they don't take damage to Hellions. And you should really one-sidedly kill everything. It's just such a strong build. Like I didn't even need to wait for the Viking to come out. If the Viking does come out, I'll just talk about it a little bit because it didn't happen in this game. If they're going Cloak Banshee, like this guy was, he was just doing it with an expand. If they're going gas first Cloak Banshee, the Viking gets there, and the Viking just shoots the Banshee, and then you land it. If they don't have a Banshee, you just land your Viking, and you use it like a Marine because they do 6 DPS. I'm just going to show 2 other games of people doing slightly different builds and how I played against it. Had the black guy, had that person. Can't remember when my avatar was that. Okay. This guy you're going to see is he basically does everything I do, just a little bit greedier. It's almost, I'm not saying this guy's a map hacker, I'm just saying, like you're saying it for demonstration purposes. If you're map hacking, you basically want to do everything your opponent does, just a little bit greedier. And that's like exactly what this guy does, but he still loses because if you have good micro, you can kill like everybody with this build. Up against any build you can fight, you can kill everything. And if you don't have very good micro, I'd suggest doing this build because it will teach you how to have good micro. Okay, everything the same from my end. I'm done making SCVs at 16. Got the reactor after 1 Marine. Making Hellions, Marines, proxied the starport because it's a 2-player map. Gonna make 2 medevacs and then a Viking. See, 16 SCVs, no more. Gonna go poke with the first Hellion. Sees his Hellion. And then I'm sending my Marines out. Your first poke always happens with your first medevac, and then the full-on attack happens with 2 medevacs. So I have my stuff out here, I poke up just to see, okay, he's basically got everything I've got. Like thing for thing, like we're doing the exact same build. We almost were doing the exact same build. So even with Defender's advantage though, and him basically doing the same exact build, just getting the Marine 1 thing later, I'm still able to kill him, because if you have good micro, you can just make it work with this. So waiting for that second medevac, gonna speed boost it. It looks like he goes for a Viking second, which is fine, since he's being the defensive one. So as soon as this medevac's out, it's time to party. You'll see, so I lead with my Hellions and I run them up here so I can get good splash damage, while my Marines I just try to have in the biggest concave they have, attacking. So the Hellions, not only did they do splash damage, but they tanked all the splash damage so that all my Marines didn't die. And this shouldn't work because he basically did the same exact thing I did. And he had defender's advantage, but he's still going to end up dying. You just got to be relentless with attacking and with rallying in your reinforcements. See, no Banshee, so the Viking's going to land. This is a bit of stutter step. You can focus fire army units if you want. You will get so many wins with this build. This is actually my favorite free win TvT build. If I'm ever on a lost streak or just not doing good or need a win, every single time I'll go to this build because of how powerful it is. And here's the last game. Oops, that's him. This is me. But I have that Team Ascension logo. There's nothing too in-depth about this build because the only thing that really ever changes is maybe a little bit how you micro, but every single time, all the units and everything you make are going to be exactly the same. Sort of just a little bit how you engage changes a little bit based on what your opponent has. But if you can perfect this build, you will have a ridiculously high TvT win rate. Same map, opposite positions. So it looks like this game he went for the 15 gas build, which is really powerful to try and stop it. This build is really good against what I'm doing. This is a build for GG does a lot. You see he's actually pushing out with units, which is kind of stupid. So he ends up giving me away, it looks like, a few free Marines. Now, the exception to the rule of waiting to attack with 2 medevacs is if they sack units into you. If they ever sack units into you, anything more than like 2 or 3 Marines, if they lose a Hellion, if they lose 2 or 3 Marines, if they lose Reapers, you're just going to go. You're just going to rally everything into their base and you're just going to go for it immediately. He ended up having just a little bit too much splash damage, so I went down to get a better position where I wasn't taking as much splash damage and splitting my units up pretty well. And then lifting up when he had just a bit too much, and still rallying in, and as soon as I have enough units again, I'm just going to attack again. And now he's got a bunch of Marines and Hellions at the top of the ramp, so I'm just going to end up dropping everything so I can get the concave. If I were to attack up into this concave with the units I had, everything would die. But if I were to get him into the concave, or even just get an even concave with him, then I can win. So because I can't walk up that ramp, I'm just going to load everything up, land the Viking in the main, and drop everything pre-spread out. And it works out even better that he happened to walk down the ramp, so now he's in a bad concave, and I'm in a really good concave. And then you just kill everything. And then you get the rage. Okay. Well, I hope you liked this week's episodes. I hope you learned a bit. I tried to take the feedback off of the Reddit posts and comment to change a few different things. So some things I did differently this week was I tried to include build orders a little bit, even though this week's builds, aside from the TvT one, weren't strict build orders. I tried to write up the guidelines so you could see it on the screen. And I tried to make sure I went over it a lot of times so it's really clear how exactly you do the builds. I also, because the videos were a little bit longer, I chopped them up into 3 different pieces. They're around 20 minutes a piece. because a few people made the suggestion of adding timestamps, and I thought this was basically the same way of doing that. And here, when you go to the YouTube video, you'll just be able to see like, oh, PVT or PVZ or PV whatever. So in the future, anyone watching who has maybe issues just in a certain matchup or needs cheeses for a certain matchup can easily find everything based on matchup. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions or concerns or feedback or whatever, you can write it in the comment section, you can write it on the Reddit post, or you can message me in game. Peace out, guys.